started playing at the age of 8, and what was great about America in the 50s is that most school districts supported the arts, especially music. So there were marching bands to play in, symphonic bands to play in, dance bands to play in, orchestra to play in, and my brother played a little bit of drums, and so I was, older brother, a couple of years, 3 years old, and picked up the sticks, and before I actually got to school as a third grader at age of 8, I was already just imitating him. I'm a lefty, but I play righty because I imitate him. I never thought about it. Enjoyment, love for it. My parents got me a private teacher who was like, his name was Nat Foodman. He was Broadway's most famous drummer. He was handpicked by Leonard Bernstein to do West Side Story. Wow. Juilliard graduate. I mean, he was like the real deal, session guy. I mean, he played with Harry Belafonte. He was, really, he was the real deal. Okay. And so I was actually trained as a legitimate Broadway drummer. Yeah, but of course, you're a kid. Yeah, and that's not what I envisioned. Well, the first record, 2 records he asked me. I remember it distinctly. Was Blowing the Blues Away. That's why I included that. It was Hayes, Heart of Silver. That was like the hardcore jazz record. And then he actually gave me, I didn't include it, but it was like a compilation of big band. It was like, it was Chick Webb and Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich. It was just a compilation of the hits. Yeah, I mean, the hits. So the hits of the 30s and 40s. And then after Blowing the Blues Away, he said, okay, now I think, you got to get to Sinatra. That's the New York, swing. I mean, that's a swing that. True. Those guys. It was either Saul Gubin. He had 2 drummers. He had Irv Kahler on the West Coast and Saul Gubin on the East Coast. So he didn't. He didn't bring a band from the West Coast or to the East Coast. He was a guy from New Jersey. So he used New York guys, or he would use LA guys. So.
Kind of Blue was also.
Well, Kind of Blue, yes, was a really important record. I don't remember at what stage did I actually hear that record. I think it was because of the openness of the swing. As I was listening, as you started to listen to Elvin and other drummers, Tony, there was one thing, and then when I heard that record, I said, yeah, there is another way. I mean, I knew it because there is a closer jump from Louis Hayes, Jimmy Cobb to Sinatra's drummers than there is to Elvin and Tony Williams. Yeah. Right. So I could in some ways I related closer to the hard bop tradition as opposed to the post bop tradition. Okay. Yeah. As to listen to jazz, I was always reading, and then when the Beatles came, changed everything. Of course, you grow up and you're playing a surf beat and you're doing that and playing in bands with surf beat, but the Beatles changed everything. Just. One, because of the phenomena, but also the way the tunes were and the way Ringo played and his also he just was the passion of how he played.
And he fit the Beatles
music
perfectly. The best. I think it's the best that could fit.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. I mean we know that he influenced the next generation of drummers either to become a drummer and also the way he approached melody. The way he didn't really solo, he didn't overplay pockets, great beats, great tom, integrated a tom. When you listen to there's a live BBC.
I know that. I've heard that.
And when you hear that, you realize, man, if it wasn't for Ringo, that band was going to be great. But he's real, man. He's a real drummer. True. I mean, so anybody who kind of disses Ringo, for me, I say, man, then you don't really hear it.
It's true. Yeah. And when did you hear for the first time Love Supreme?
When it came out.
And that blew my mind. And there was like, wow.
I had listened to Elvin, earlier in some of the Coltrane records before, but it was Love Supreme it was that Latin swing thing.
The time feel is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Time feel is that
it was
kind of laid back.
And it was just different. It wasn't like tune. I mean, we know it's tunes, but it was like one of those things that, because of course, I mean, if somebody asked me my favorite jazz drummers, it would be Elvin, it would be Jack DeJohnette, it would be Louis Hayes. I mean, the list is long. Yeah. But I think in terms of, who did you spend time, I call it chasing. Who did you try to, imitate? And I think Elvin, I spent a long time, although I don't really sound like Elvin unless I really put my mind to it. And Jack. I mean, they both brought, even more so than Tony. I mean, of course, as a teacher over all these years, I've had to absorb their play, but I don't feel an affinity in the same way towards Tony that
Really?
I do. Yeah,
I have that.
no,
that
I know that.
affinity.
Which is great. A lot of drummers
Yeah.
do. I'm closer to Elvin and Jack than
But Jack,
to Tony.
I love Jack. I love Elvin, but I have a special thing with Tony Williams.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And I spent lots of hours playing along with Miles' record with Tony. Don't get me wrong, but I've always felt closer,
Cool.
to
Great.
those
And I
guys.
see you have here swinging new band.
Yeah, well, that's Buddy Rich is great.
Swinging
That was
big
his great band
yeah,
with
Buddy
West Side
Rich.
Story. That has
Yeah,
West Side
that's
Story.
amazing.
And for me, as a kid, I was taken to the drum battles of Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa.
Well, those records are so good.
Yeah, I mean, and so
And
I
the one
saw
with Max
those live.
Roach is
And the
also
one with
really
Max Roach,
good,
I didn't see that yet, but that's an interesting one. But I went to see Buddy and Gene Krupa play.
Oh wow, man! That
Yeah, I mean, my dad took me to concerts. I remember seeing a modern jazz quartet in a school auditorium, and it was like they were elegant. They wore tuxedos.
Oh yeah.
And they were wonderful, man. So I saw my father took me lots. Besides going to Broadway plays, I saw lots of
Mhm.
Broadway. So
Wow.
and in New York, I played a lot of Broadway. That was part of my career in New York.
Yeah. I know.
So kind of came home to roost. I mean, you do it because it's there. It's a skill, and of course you do it because it's part of your making a living. I mean, I'm a commercial drummer in some ways.
Yeah.
Always have been. I mean, my idea was always, can I make a living from music? If I can do that, I'm doing great because I love it. And that's always been my goal: make a living
Yeah.
from music. Yeah.
That's nice. Interstellar space.
It was just the opposite. There was a
Yeah.
point in my life where I said, okay, this is all good, but what
Yeah.
are these other guys doing? Because I came up as a teenager with the avant-garde movement, and I heard Andrew
I
Cyril.
remember.
I heard lots of drummers and saying, man, what? And Rashid Ali, I was sure the first time I heard it was there were two drummers. I was convinced of it, and I kept looking at the record.
First time
album.
I listened was the John Coltrane live at the Village Vanguard again. Yeah, with Rashid Ali, and I was listening to that. I was maybe 16, and I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, wow, but I liked it.
Right. I liked it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like it, and it's deep.
Very.
He had a concept that he played, from the heart. He played hard. He, had a really unique
Yeah, you can
independence
tell.
for the time.
You could tell that's it's very soulful drummer.
He's an
very
emotional drummer.
drummer.
And obviously, Coltrane was looking for something more than Elvin, and he's more than Elvin.
Yeah. Oh,
Not better or worse, just more.
just more.
Just different.
More, yeah.
So that record kind of turned my head about time, about the spatialness of time. He's a very thick player, so but he didn't play time like Buddy Rich. I mean, that was one of the things, and I spent time playing along with that
But
record.
Buddy
trying to
Rich
get
couldn't
something out of it.
play free.
Well, I like him.
Like him, of course.
Or, yeah,
So,
and
that's
wouldn't
the
even
thing.
tried. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
that's an important, because in the early '70s I played a lot of free jazz. There was a period where I was playing free jazz.
Oh, well, I didn't
and,
know that.
yeah, most people don't. And then I got tired of it. It's great because it's different, but I wanted to go back to a more formal and a more stated sense of time. And I think that period was really helpful. I got my time better because I think to play open in some ways takes a deeper sense of time than to play
True,
with
I
a chick
agree.
on 2 and 4 and
I agree.
to play open where it's evolving and interesting and I mean, because it's a misnomer to say that free jazz doesn't have time. Of course it does. It's just not stated.
Has time and has a pulse, and everything. Yeah,
it has that. And,
that's true.
So that was an important record for my own personal development as a musician
Nice.
and opened my ears.
What about this Infinite Search?
Maybe you don't know that record.
No, I don't know, and I like Miroslav.
Miroslav but it's Joe Henderson,
Okay.
Herbie, McLaughlin.
Wow.
It's an
What a
all-star band. Jack and it's like from like 1970. That record flipped me out because it's Dijonette's a fusion approach which
Yeah.
was, which is still completely modern, completely relevant. If somebody asked me, I want to play in this kind of open, but jazz rock style. I said, man, you got to listen to Dejanette.
Dejanette.
Even just from
Yeah,
Bitches Brew.
because he's so organic, right? He doesn't have that fusion precision.
No, exactly right.
So he's
And
very
that's
organic.
right.
That sounds amazing.
So the version of the tune that turned me on was Freedom Jazz Dance. They do a version of that tune,
Okay.
and it is killing, and it's
I'll
still
check it
killing.
out.
Yeah, you should. The whole record is great, and
check it out.
that's why I put that on, because I turned my head. I mean, I listened to Jack, but of course when you listen to the Charles Lloyd records, playing Forest Flower, I played, it's a standard, and Jack always amazed me because pulse was strong, but at the same time he make it disappear.
It's true. The way he approaches,
stuff. I don't know what's in his head, but whatever's in his head is beautiful.
It's beautiful. I agree.
So he was an important drummer for me.
Yeah, for me too. Inner Mounting
Flame is Mahavishnu Orchestra.
Yeah.
Probably for me at least, and it's personal. Up until Weather Report, they were the best fusion band. And of course, Cobham came on the scene like a ball of fire. I mean, he changed all of our thinking about cleanliness, strength, independence, power, groove. I mean, he's the father of gospel drummers, man. Maybe and Tony, maybe, and Alphonse Mouzon, they're part of that thing. But the Cobham had a different kind of. He had a more maybe squashed feel, and I mean squashed in that he was contained in his ability to play the grooves. And of course, it was the odd meter thing. I mean, that record was is all over the place. And then the last album is,
I love that. I love that record.
The
so
San
much.
Francisco groove is special.
Garibaldi,
Anything, if you're talking about linear, well, welcome to Dave Garibaldi. Not as linear as the guys play now, but he just had a great pocket, and I love the
I've
band.
never heard anyone playing this kind of grooves, like the 16th note grooves. It's impossible.
No, because he wasn't busy. He wasn't busy. Guys who play that group now stay busy.
Yeah, but
so he gave the bass player room because Rocco played lots of notes. So he was busier in his hands.
And also the placement where he put that was
his backbeat,
unbelievable.
Yeah, really musical. Because in the end, it's about music.
Yes,
so
exactly.
You can be a great drummer, but if I don't like the music, I'm not going to listen to it more than once. I don't care. It's not my. I want to listen. It's the whole. For me, it's the whole package.
Yeah,
I mean, I can respect the drummer and understand his talents, but I'm not going to listen to the record just because wrong place, wrong time. For me,
true. I agree.
So I think if you put all these together, that's probably you'd have to include Led Zeppelin. I mean, remember the first time I heard Led Zeppelin, I went, "This is not possible, man." It was, and of course, I think anybody wanting to be a rock drummer today still needs to get a good dose of Bonham and play along with Bonham for his power, his clarity of ideas. Obviously, he's not very sophisticated compared to the way guys play today, but I sometimes think simple is better than density.
True. Yeah. I totally agree.
And again, it's choice. I mean, it's always about, what do you hear, what do you want to play?